So today we'll be covering the theories of personality in organization behavior. So there are the four theories of personality. One is the psychoanalytical, the type theory, the trait theory, and the self theory. So talking about the psychoanalytical theory, the psychoanalytical theory is basically dependent upon your psyche, like what you think about others. Like you can say it's a method of investigating and treating the personality disorders. Like also this theory includes the ideas that how the things happen to people during the childhood and what it contributes to the way they later function as an adult. Like we think something else and it happened like something else. So that is the psychoanalytical theory. It basically focuses on mind and body connection, you can say. So the psychoanalytical theory of personality has led the interest of psychologists and psychiatrists for a long time. Sigmund Freud, its formulator, was quite an influence. It attempts to emphasizes three main issues, that is the ID, the ego, the superego. Also, there were the interactions and imbalances, but main in his theory, he said there are the three types of things, that is the ID, the ego, and the superego. If I talk about the ID, it's the source of all physique energy, making it a primary component of personality. Like it is not only the component of personality that is present from the birth, that what is being there in your birth. Guys, are you not able to see the screen? Can anyone please tell?
हेलो मैम, स्लाइड शो नहीं हो रहा है मैम.
Wait, I'll do it again. Are you able to see it now?
Yes मैम.
Fine, fine. So the psychoanalytical theory consists of three things, the three formulators, which is the ID, the ego, and the superego. ID, which is present in you since the birth, and it is all source of physique energy, which makes it as a primary component of personality. Then you can say it's the immediate gratification of your all desires, wants, and needs. Then if these needs are not satisfied immediately, the result is state of anxiety or tension. For example, an increase of hunger or thirst should produce an immediate attempt to eat or drink. So that is that what your psyche thinks about yourself, how you have to like compromise with that particular situation. So you can say ID is very important early in life because it ensures and influence needs are met. Like we simply say that whatever, how we behave, how we react, how we learn in our childhood, similarly that goes with us till the end. So it's very important to improve this part, your infant part, your child part, accordingly with the time. Like when we see a child who cannot speak, he until or unless his demands are not satisfied, he keeps on crying. So accordingly, we in this type, in this formulation, we have to met with the demand satisfaction of that particular thing. Then comes ego. So according to Freud, ego develops from ID. Like when we are child, we have to meet with the needs and the requirements. After that, the ego comes. It develops from the ID only, and it ensures the impulses of ID can be expressed in a manner except in the real world. So basically, ego functions in conscious, pre-conscious, and in unconscious mind. So taking an example for this, the Freud compared the ID to the horse and the ego to the horse rider. ID is the horse and ego is the horse rider. The horse provides the power and motion while The rider provides direction and the guidance. Without its rider, the horse may simply wander and wherever it wished to do, whatever it's the please. The rider gives the horse direction and command to get it to go wherever the rider wants to go. So ego is very important for ID. It also discharges tension created by the unmet impulses through various processes by thinking in the way the ego tries to find an object in the real world as well. Then the super ego. The last component of personality in this theory, it's the super ego. The super ego begins to emerge at the age of 5. It holds the internalized moral standards and ideals that we acquire from our parents and our society. Like we, in this type of ego, in super ego, we start sensing that what is right for us and what is wrong for us. We get the proper guidelines for making the judgments. So this is the psychoanalytical theory. I gave an example of my yesterday, like suppose I am 25 years old and I'm a very well built and a healthy person, but my weakness is I seemingly I have an irritational fear of mice. Suppose I'm sitting in a meeting and suddenly a rat comes in that meeting. I like suddenly I shocked and shout, I yell at the people in the meeting. Why? Because I had a fear of seeing a mouse. So I often find myself in embarrassing situation because of that fear. What my psychoanalytical, there is no mice, but I am just thinking, like I have a sight of a mice. I saw a rat. There was no rat. Because of my fear, because of my analytical fear, I just had a fear in the mind and saw something, a shadow like mice, and I thought that there is a rat inside my room. So that is the psychoanalytical theory. Read this theory once, then I'll do the type theory. So next comes the type theory. So type theory, you can say it's a type of theory in which there is a belief that individuals' personality, it can be quantified into various unique categories, and that unique categories were given by the unique Greeks. That was the sanguine. Like in modern language, we call it as an optimistic person. Like when we think that that person is a very optimistic person, we call it as a. Then choleric. So choleric here, it refers to as angry mood or irritable mood. So they have defined the type theory, what type of personality that person has. We simply say that person is very angry. That person, he's a psycho. That person is a very introvert person. He's very optimistic person. So in these way, they have categorized the people, the person in type theory in 4 types, which is the optimistic personality, the angry, the irritable personality, the depressed personality, and the calm personality. So the type theory represents an attempt to put some degree of order into chaos of personality theory. The type theory represents an attempt to scientifically describe personality by classifying individuals into convenient categories, two categories. The Sheldon's physiognomy theory. So in this theory, you can say they have divided the people. William Sheldon has presented a unique book, type temperamental model, like what is the behavior of that particular person. It represents a link between certain and atomical features or psychological traits with distinguished characteristics of individual and behavior. And Carl Jung says that he has a big five personality model theory, the extrovert, the introvert theory. The way to type personality is in the terms of behavior, psychological factors. Jung's introvert and extrovert types are the examples. So basically, they have divided the people into four humors, which is the optimistic, the angry, the depressed, and the calm personality. So according to Sheldon's this theory, he says that person's temperament represents the link between his personality, his traits, while the Carl Jung's extrovert introvert theory says that a person's behavior, a person's personality is based on extrovertness and introvertness. Extrovertness, that how people behave in an open environment, whether they are open to all, and introvert, the shy, not talking to all. So these theories we'll be doing later on in detail. Goes through the type theory. So next comes the trait theory. So trait here refers to the characteristics of person. So trait in psychology to refers to the ways in which we generally describe a person. We simply say that person is very calm, he's very compromising person, he's a very nice person, he's a very bad person, he's a very angry person. So this kinds of things, how we characterize the person, that is called a trait. So the descriptive terms such as outgoing, short-tempered, generous, stubborn are all the traits. It is one of the most vital areas of study in psychology that helps identify a person's personality. So some early personality researchers believe that to understand individuals, we must break down behavior patterns into the series of observable. Like we sometimes we just perceive that this person is very talkative at in the college, and most probably he'll be talkative at home as well. So we categorize the behavioral pattern into the series of observable traits. We simply say that when my friend is sitting with me, he's very talkative, but when he's sitting in a group, he don't talk to anyone. So in this way, I categorize the behavior of that person into the series of my observable traits. So according to trait theory, combining these traits into a group forms an individual personality. A personality trait can be defined as enduring attribute of a person that appears consistently in a variety of situations In combination, such traits distinguish one personality from other. Gordon Alport's personality traits says that claims that personality traits are real entities physically located somewhere in the brain. We each inherit our own unique set of raw material for given traits, which then are shaped by our experiences. So what Gordon Alport says, he says the personality traits, our behavior, our believeness, that is being inherited, and it just shapes with our experiences. While the Raymond Cattell 16 personality factor, he considers that the personality is to be patron of a trait, providing the key to understand and predict a person's behavior. Whereas Cattell identified two types of traits, which is the surface trait and the source trait. So Golden Alports, he says that it is being inherited and it shapes with the experiences. This 16 personality trait we'll be doing at the end of this slide. And Cattell has identified the two types, the surface trait and the source trait. Like if I categorize a surface trait, they are very obvious and it can be easily identified by the other people. Whereas if I talk about the source trait, they are less visible to other people and appear to underlie several different aspects of behavior. And here you can say, like, if I give an example, being altruistic would be the surface trait. By the source trait that compromises this would be being that he's not the selfish, he's not greedy, he keeps on sharing the things, he is being thoughtful. So these are the types of source traits. Go through this theory, then we'll do the self theory. Like if you want to understand this concept in a practical way, so anyone who has a habit of reading, take a book, take a novel naming it's The Altruistic Personality, which is a book by Samuel P. Oliner. That's a very good book indeed, a motivational and inspiring one. You can take that book, read it. By this way you will be able to understand that yes, personality practically it influences, it's being gets influenced by the environment. So the next comes the self theory. So self theory, it's the word from self, and it's being given by Carl Rogers, who says that psychoanalytical theory, type and theory represents the more traditional approach to explaining the complex human personality. Carl Rogers is most closely associated with approach of self theory. He and his associates have developed this personality theory that places emphasis on the individual as an initiating, creating, influential determinant of behavior within the environmental framework. According to Rogers, basic ingredient of personality are self-actualization and self-concept. If I talk about the self-actualization, he believes that human has one basic motive, that is the tendency is to self-actualize, which is like I have to fulfill, that person needs to fulfill his own potential and achieve the highest level of human beingness. Yes, it's a fact, although we don't show, but it's a fact, like we think that I have to fulfill my target, my potential, and I have to be at the top, whether it's in the studies, whether it's in the job, or whether it's in the life. Then it's the self concept. The self concept, you can say it's being defined as a very organized, consistent set of perceptions and beliefs about oneself. Like sometimes we hear people think that I'm of the rules and regulations, that I have to get up early in the morning and do the Surya Namaskar at around 7 a.m. in the morning. You can also that I'm very systematic, I'm very organized about my work, I'm very professional about my work, that I have to take my lunch in between 1 p.m. and 2 p.m. If I like I'm not able to eat my lunch in that particular period of time, I skip that because it's in my rules and regulation. It's my belief that I have to take my lunch in between 1 to 2 p.m. So this is the self theory. So all the theories clear to all. Shall we move to the next? So next comes the nature of personality. So personality is the psychological growth and development within the ambit of challenge. Herbert Warner underlines 6 propositions to clarify the nature of personality, which can be understood through decision making by administration. First one is totality of acts, that how you act, how the human behavior is the point of culmination, which is preceded by number of actions, number of acts. So in an organization, human behavior is the point of culmination, which is preceded by number of acts. It is the totality of these acts in the form of respondent behavior, which is relevant to both individual as well as the organization. The isolated psychological or physiological aspect of the individual in the personality is of no use for administrative decision or action. Then personality and environment. Both personality and environment are such variables of human behavior, are the interdependent. Both of them depends upon each other. So personality gets molded according to the environment, as we did earlier as well, the situational factors in the determinant, that according to the situation your personality changes. Personality gets molded accordingly with the environment. It's also fact that it is the environment which stimulates personality to take action. Then personality depicts consistency. So normal personality is dynamic because it keeps on changing with the time due to the environment setting around him. It can be flexible to the point of consistency in different environmental settings. It's a goal-oriented behavior. Yes, it's a goal-oriented behavior when we have a very positive attitude, very positive thinking towards our goal, towards our task, we'll be able to that task in a very positive, in a short period of time, in fact a very effective and efficient manner. So every individual seeks to achieve the desired goal through his personality. The process of goal selection is in itself a dynamic quality of personality, which also forges unity between the personality and goal-oriented behavior. Then it's a time integrating structure. It provides a synthesis of the retrospect and the prospect, because future is much related to past as the past is to the future. Like whatever we think that what will happen in the past, we accordingly we have to categorize our personality. We have to be very positive. Sometimes we we plan for a trip to hill stations. We say that we'll be going in the next month, and in the next month suddenly flood came over there. So accordingly your personality towards that thing, that will change from the positive to the negative one. So in this way, both of them, the past and the future, they are related to each other, they are prospective to each other. So personality structure, it consists of the three dimensions: the determinants with their stages. There are stages of personality from infants, then it later on it changes it with the time. And the traits with it, there are various traits, there are various types of personality which we'll be learning through the various types. One, it's a big five model theory of personality. Then we'll be doing one more theory in which you will be able to know about the traits: extrovertness, introvertness, then sensitive. These types of traits we'll be doing. So this is the nature of personality. So before moving to the brand personality, if you have any doubts till now, please let me know. Okay, students, do, now we'll be doing brand personality, how the personality is being categorized by the brand. So we can divide or study the personality of a brand in 5 dimensions. First one, it's the sincerity of the brand. Sometimes we feel like when we go to for a shopping, we have in our mind that this brand is very good. It's a very sincere brand. Talking about the Raymond, it's a very sincere brand. Why? Because of the people trust. The stuff, it's very soft for making the professional clothes. And Hero Honda, that's an also a bike which never disappoints the customers. They make the products, they produce the products which are very trustworthy. That is the sincerity of brand. Like being that the image of a brand is being very down to earth, very honest, and very cheerful. Next comes excitement. Excitement, basically, that whenever we see an advertisement of stunts and adventurous things, we got excited towards buying that particular thing. Like being a youngster, I'll prefer to drink. You can say whenever I see an advertisement of Thumbs Up, or whenever I see a advertisement of Mountain Dew, which shows me the stunts with that advertisement, I get attracted towards that. Why? Because it creates an excitement in me. That is the brand personality, how brand impacts your personality. Next comes competence. So these types of things, they are very reliable, intelligent, and successful. Most trusted one. Like if I want to open an insurance, then I'll prefer to do the from LIC. Why? Because they are very customer oriented. They are very reliable, very successful brands. And if I talking about the phone, sorry, SIM, that what kind of data I'll be using, I'll prefer Airtel, that I want to use my Airtel SIM rather than the others, because I have a highly trust on that and I'm reliable on that. That even if I go to hilly areas in the forest, data network connection will not be there. That's why I wanted to prefer Airtel as my communication service provider. Then sophisticated, like they are considered as an upmarket, and the charming, the attractive one. Like these brands have an upper class feeling. Like if I want to buy a car, I'll buy a Mercedes, a BMW. If want to buy the clothes, I'll prefer Tommy Hilfiger. And the brands, like I'll use Gap for my clothes, the sophisticated brand for the upper class feeling. Then rug, very tuffy and outdoorsy clothes. You can say the Western look and the giving you a very sporty look. If I talk about the males, they'll prefer wearing the caps and open shirt with the t-shirt, that's the rugged one. Your personality, that person is a very sporty one. So this is the rugged by which your personality is influenced through the brands. Then personality in consumer behavior. Before doing that, I'll show you a small video of the personality types, which is E, extroversion, introversion, sensing, and it's the intuition. T is the thinking, F is the feeling, J is the judging, and P is the perceiving. Before doing this thing, I want you to see that video through which you will be able to understand this concept in a very easy manner. Also, we'll be doing a small exercise on this. I'll give you a site. You will open that site and you will do your personality test and write on your paper. By this way, you will be able to know that in what category of these 16 categories in which you fall. Guys, are you able to see the screen?
Yes, ma'am.
Claims that we can describe ourselves with 5 main characteristics: open, conscientious, extrovert, agreeable, neurotic. Each of us varies in how much of each trait is shown in our personality. In order to understand what each trait really means, let's look at these 5 characters and how they cope after they wreck their boat and are stranded on an island in the middle of the ocean. Open Odalia is excited and interested in exploring this beautiful island. The exotic nature inspires her. She has collected stones, shells, and blossoms to decorate the entrance of the bamboo hut that she built for everyone. She feels this is an opportunity to learn so many new things. Claire is conscientious. She is not excited. She is concerned about the seriousness of the situation. She is glad she saved the survival kit from their ship. As usual, she is prepared and starts the crucial tasks right away. She feels that it is her duty to organize everyone and make sure that they will start looking for the things they need for survival: fresh water and food. Extrovert Emile is thrilled because they all survived. He feels a strong need to talk and share his happiness. He gathers everyone to celebrate their survival and to tell them about his plan to explore the island together. Agreeable Albert is kind by nature, and despite being tired and thirsty, his main concern is Nora. He offers her a drink from his coconut. The others know that he usually agrees to everything and are not shy to ask for his help. Nora is neurotic and easily stressed. She has a total breakdown. She sits down on the beach and cries. How are they ever going to get away from this island? To her, The ocean around them looks endless. Nature looks dark and dangerous. She feels completely lost. After 8 weeks, 2 ships appear on the horizon. Everyone gets excited. Emile has the idea to make a fire. He calls the others to help. Claire immediately starts to work. Albert brings more wood. Odelia is holding up her beautifully arranged SOS sign, while Nora screams desperately for help. Little do they know who is sailing on these ships. The first ship carries a group of psychologists who have been traveling the oceans since the 1980s. They are investigating the Big Five personality traits, which is also known as the 5-factor or ocean model. The captain, Louis Goldberg, coined the term Big Five. He is thrilled when he sees the 5 friends at the beach, each one matching exactly one trait: open, conscientious, extrovert, agreeable, neurotic. Though he decides not to stop the boat. As a scientist, he prefers to watch from afar. On the other ship are 5 pirates, all possessing the exact opposite traits of our friends. Let's see if you can recognize them. Pirate 1 is emotionally stable and very relaxed. When she sees the survivors on the beach, she says, "We could help them." Pirate 2 immediately gets angry with her. He is not listening to anyone and is not willing to change his plans in order to help some strangers on an island. Pirate 3 thinks this is a complex situation. He thinks that all possible outcomes need to be considered. He feels the need to be alone and think. Pirate 4 doesn't care. He's busy looking for the keys to his treasure chest, which is lost again. The captain is not open to any new experiences. He ends all discussions when he says, "Our boat won't stop." What do you think about the Big Five? Do you recognize your own personality in some of the traits? Or do you think this theory is flawed, as we cannot describe an entire personality in 5 parameters? If you watch this in class and you are not sure which traits you have, pick a friend and describe each other. Many of us are bad at describing ourselves, so an outside perspective is often helpful.
So in this video, we watched that there are the big 5 personality models, which is being given by D.W. Fisk. He says that there are the 5 personality traits. First one, it's the openness. Like people of this who fall under this category, they are very creative. They are open to try the new things, and they are focused on tackling with the new challenges as well. If I talk about the consciousness, they are the people who spend time for preparing the things. They finishes first the important task, then they move to the another one. They pay attention to the details as well. Like before signing the paper, they read each and every document and then signs it. Such kind of the people are like this. Then the extrovertness. Extrovertness are those who falls in this category are they enjoy being the center of the attention. They love to start the conversations. They enjoy meeting the new people. They have a wide circle of friends as well. Then fourth one, agreeableness, and people of this kind of trait, they has a great deal of interest in other people. They care about others. They feel empathy and concern for other peoples. Also, they help and enjoys help and contributing to happiness to other people. And neuroticism, the people who fall under this category, it's a trait characterized by sadness. They experience a lot of stress, worries. They get upset on small kind of things very easily. They experience dramatic shifts in the mood. They feel very anxious as well. They they feel very struggles to bounce back after a stressful event. So this was the Big 5 personality theory, which was given by D.W. Fisk. Now this is the 16 personality traits, which is being given by Myers-Briggs type. He says that the people falls under the extroversion category. They are very talkative and outgoing. They are fast-paced environment, same as an extroversion and introversion. They are very reserved. They make very less friends. They are very shy. Then the sensing, like they focus on reality of things, that how it will be happen. Then they pay attention to like concrete facts and details. They prefer ideas that are practical applications as well. Then N is for intuition. This kind of people, they imagine the possibilities of how things could be. They notice the big picture, see how everything is being connected to. Then they enjoy ideas and concepts from their own stake as well. Like they are very describe the things in a very imaginative and very figurative way, in a poetic way. Then thinking, like this kind of people, they make decisions in an impersonal way using the logical reasoning. They value justice and fairness. They find the flaws in an argument. They could be described as reasonable and level-headed people. Talking about the feeling, that their feelings are based upon the decisions of personal values and how actions affect the others. They easily forgive the people. They like to please others and point out the best in the people. Like they avoid the negative feelings and negative things, and positive they attract. And they could be described as warm and empathetic thing. Then judging, that they prefer to have matters settled. They don't want the, you can say, conflicts and all. They want everything to be settled down as much as possible, easily and soonly. Think rules and deadlines should be respected. Everything they prefer to do in a detailed way, but by the step-by-step instructions. They make plans and then do the things. Perceiving, they prefer to leave the options in an openly way. They see the rules and deadlines are flexible. They like to improvise and make things up as you go. They are very spontaneous and enjoy surprises and new situations. So what Meyer-Brigger says, he says that people fall under these type of categories, which is extroversion, introversion, sensing, intuition, thinking, feeling, judging, and perceiving. Further, he has subdivided these categories into the 16 parts, which is ISTJ. This is introversion, sensing, which is introversion, sensing, thinking, and judging. Similarly, ISFJ, introversion, introversion, sensing, feeling, and judging. Similarly, they have categorized by combining all of these into these categories. And we'll do an activity in the next lecture through which you will be able to know that in what category your personality falls in. And you will be able, if there will be any negative kind of personality, you will be able to change according that. So with this, we'll be completing the today's topic, which is personality. We have done two trait theories as well. One is the Big Five personality theory given by G.W. Fisk, and another one, the 16 type trait theory given by Myers and Brigger. So you can go through this PPT once. So go through the PPT once and please let me know if you have any doubt. We'll be ending up with the today's lecture. Thank you, students, for today's lecture.
Thank you, ma'am.